Welcome to Bunnyfish Crafts. I'm your host Heather, known as Bunnyfish on Ravelry, Plurk, Instagram, and YouTube. Today is Sunday, the 17th of November, 2013, and this is episode 53, Podiversary. Grab some sticks and string and come sit with me. Our sweater knit along is still going on. It can be any sweater that you want to make. I happened to make this one for my sister, and then I stole it back because, I can do that. I made it. You can make as many sweaters as you want. They can be anywhere from baby sweaters to full-size, go down to your thigh sweaters to really cute, fluffy pink sweaters for piglets who don't grow enough fur on their own and you're worried that they're cold. However many sweaters you want to make, you still only get one entry per person. Make sure that you tag them with BPH sweater. And we're going to move on to finish objects. You may remember I made these seamless Salomas once upon a time for myself. I made a couple more pairs. The first pair was made using Knit Picks Wool of the Andes Superwash in the colorway Garnet Heather. I fail at life sometimes. It's unfortunate, but it happens. I sent them out in the mail and I forgot to take a picture. So imagine this awesome kind of cupcake shape, this color. Good imagination, you can do it. I have faith in you. I made a second pair, again, Seamless Salomas by Megan Williams and Susan Bisbee, and same colorway as the first, considerably smaller because I made them for my sister who does not have ginormous feet. And they were made in Cascade Yarns Pacific Colorway, using a US 6 4.0 millimeter needle. And she can tell you that they fit her feet absolutely perfectly, just like mine fit my ginormous feet absolutely perfectly. One of my favorite finished objects for the week is Tap NZ by Amy King. It was made using 716 Knit, 716 Boss in Dead Guys on Ice using a US 6 4.0 millimeter needles.
And it looks a little like this.
It does look a little bit like that.
And I'm actually Bunnyfish.
This is a Bunnyfish. Somewhere here.
This is not a Bunnyfish.
This is a Fire Ice 13. Hi.
Okay, so we were talking about the Tap NZ by Amy King. It's a free pattern on Knitty. I made it using 716 Knit and the 716 Boss base, which is DK, in the colorway Dead Guys on Ice. This yarn is amazing. It's so squishy and super nice.
It's kind of ridiculously squishy.
I would make a next to the skin sweater out of this. Obviously not this one because of the lace, but I could wear this sans clothes if it didn't have the lace and the open midriff.
And if there were not children, boyfriend would
true.
Appreciate it.
Classy.
I am
She keeps it classy.
Extremely classy. Also very honest.
This color is gorgeous, and I will put in a picture because you can't see it well right now. I made this sweater,
yes.
too. I made this back in February. It is the $5 in Paris, and I don't remember the name of the designer. But it's on Ravelry, and it's free. I fixed it.
Yes, she did.
Okay, so by the way, this is my sister, and she surprised me on Friday.
I'm amazing.
It's true.
And I brought cheesecake of the pumpkin flavored variety.
It was so good. Delicious. Of course we demolished it already. It's Sunday. How could it last past that? Anyway, she came here. I gave her the hand knits that I've made her since the last time I've seen her, and she graciously brought me some things to fix.
I'm a good sister like that.
It's true. One of those things was the sweater.
Yes.
And a problem that a lot of people have with the $5 in Paris is that the neckline is too big.
It was. It kind of sat like here, so I looked like I was rocking the 80s all the time, which is fine. Nothing against the 80s. Love the big hair bands and everything. Queen, go. But it was not appropriate for work at all.
So what I did was I picked up around the neckline right here. I considered pulling out the cast on, but then I was like, ha, you crazy. So I picked up all the stitches and I did 4 rounds of decreases, which took it down to a quarter of the actual cast on stitches. Yeah. And then I did a non-stretchy bind off. See, look at this. no stretch to that. No stretch.
I understand
So that
every
way-
word she said.
So that way it won't fall off while she's at work.
Very
She's
important.
very, very good with the knitting terms.
Very
totally
good.
good.
Amazingly fluent.
Totally good.
I know what yarn is, even.
I finished a final piece this week. A pair of arm warmers. They're the Colorful Stripy Fingerless Mitts by Elizabeth Trantham. I used random acrylics and a US size G hook, which is 4.25 millimeters.
Also known as a
pattern
6.
on Ravelry. That's true. It's a G6.
Like a G6? Are you feeling
Like a
so
G6.
fly like a G6?
Always.
Okay.
She finished some things though.
I did, in fact. So once upon a time, my sister was awesome and gave me a Kindle. And it was cold and it was naked, and so I made it a very nice fuzzy skin.
Kindle
And
sweater.
a
I
Kindle
like to call it.
sweater. Yes, a Kindle sweater, because it was naked and I felt ashamed for it. And so then she gave me another Kindle because she's ridiculous with her gift giving. Except it's a Kindle Fire. And so I made it a sweater. And I put these in there. I don't know what stitch this is called. It's something. It just, you go over and they make crosses.
Oh yeah.
And it's something to where I can play with it because I have ADHD and I like doing things with my hands while I'm reading. So I made another sweater for it. Well, for its cousin.
What hook?
It was a US E. Oh my gosh, I hate that hook with a passion. But it was an E. I don't know what size it is. It is the devil size, basically, because it takes forever to do anything. I usually work on a J. I can make a blanket like that. This took like 2 hours, which was about an hour and a half too long. I am not patient with the craftiness. I am not. She inherited all of that.
It's true. So we're back.
We are back.
We forgot to grab a very important work in progress before we started. This is the bane of Amanda's existence and why she hates size E hooks. Go ahead.
Which, by the way, our size E is also a size 4, 3.50 millimeter hook. I decided to make a blanket. I don't have patience. Blankets are not good projects for me. And the problem is unlike her, I can only really do like 1 to 2 projects at a time.
Oh, monogamy.
Yeah, monogamous hooker even. I can't do the 2 things, just no. So I decided to make a Afghan based off the concept of a granny patch, except it has 6 sides and it's using triple crochets and not double crochets. And this is it. And it's pretty ginormicon for me. In reality, it's not very ginormicon at all.
It's a pretty good size.
I want to kill this blanket. I want to throw it on a fire and let it just be demolished. Because it's taking forever. I made a blanket this size before using a J-hook, and it took like no time at all. This one, so many more stitches. But I cannot, in fact, set it on fire because, number 1, that's a lot of work. It's kind of wasteful. And number 2, I decided it was a Christmas present for a friend of mine. This is the most obnoxious work in progress ever, except for maybe Heather's blanket Afghan with the wedding ring stuff.
Yes.
This is my wedding ring Afghan.
Ugh.
Now
What
she
yarn?
pretends to have sympathy. It is a type of yarn.
Acrylic.
It is acrylic. It is Red Heart, Super Saver.
How many colors are you using?
I'm using 2.
Okay.
I'm using this really awesome purpley multicolor, which was grape something. And this blue color may have had the word toucan in it. I'm very specific, all about details, this one.
I will try to find the colors online and put them in the show notes.
She's a good one about that. I'm totally not.
I try really hard to be a good one about that.
Sometimes failing.
And sometimes failing. What have I been working on? Let's see. Okay. We'll start here. Started another pair of seamless Salomas because gift knitting, yay. But I'm actually not feeling about this pattern, even though this is the 4th time that I've made them.
4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
And the 3rd pair that I've started this week. It's not so bad because I don't have to pay attention to the pattern at all. It's free on Ravelry. The height that I need the ribbing to go is the height of my ring finger. So once I get to my ring finger, I know that I need to start doing the like cupcake top.
Totally looks like a cupcake
it
or a
does.
muffin.
Look. Okay, so
it makes me
this
hungry.
ribbing, the length of my ring finger, and then the cupcake comes
Also,
after that.
This is the paper on the cupcake. This is the cupcake, and this is the bite that I took out of it because every time I see them, I'm hungry. I'm like, every time.
I'm making those using US size 6, which is 4.0 millimeter needles, and Knit Picks Woolly Andy Superwash in Fjord Heather. This was leftovers from the dog sweater. And I don't like having random leftovers in my stash if I can figure out a project for them immediately. I finished the first single for the 3-ply that I'm planning on doing with different singles. That was from Mount Ampado Alpacas. Since I finished the first one, I started the second one. This ball is all blue. It's getting late-ish.
It is getting late-ish. Has nothing to do with her as a host because I actually really like her podcast.
Thanks.
Her as a person, not so much. But in podcast form,
Well,
she is amazing. Awesome. You should always watch her.
I have the same feelings about you.
I don't have a podcast.
In general, as a person.
Well, that's fair.
I worked on the zipper lexicons by Kirsten Hall using Nooch Fiber Midtown sock or Morningside sock.
Midtown, I thought.
Morningside sock.
Ah, she was wrong.
In Cloud 9. It's 100% superwash merino. I'm using US size 1, 2.25 millimeters. And I got a few rounds past the cast on, but not very much.
No, right now it pretty much resembles a gypsy scarf.
Because of all the stitch markers?
Yes. I feel like you go.
Yeah, so toes next week, they will be done. And hopefully I'll have started on the feet if I want these to be done ever.
Yes.
I also started the second sock for the Nebula Socks by Cookie A, Tess's Designer Yarns, US size.
Havana.
It's very nice. US size 1, 2.25 millimeters. But I only did the cast on and then the first setup round. And then I was like, okay, I said I would cast it on. That's good enough for now.
This was lots of work.
It totally.
Really accomplished goals.
Yes, goals
Very
accomplished.
goal-oriented woman here.
That's true.
Little goals. Minuscule goals. Gets all of them
I said
done.
I was going to cast it on, okay?
All
I
of
did
them.
what I said I was going to do.
She knit all the things.
I really did. I have 4 finished objects. Okay? That's nothing to sneeze at.
I have 2.
And the last project is a pair of fingerless mitts. The pattern is It's Share Time by Jenna Meyer. I'm using Hippie Penguin fibers, colorway the Dwarf King, and it is 100% BFL. So the colors are gorgeous.
They really
and
are.
These mitts have, this is a paid pattern, they have cables that run up
This may be necessary.
right here,
And natural light.
and here.
See-ish, kind of. You can kind of see-ish.
And the
not
pattern is made to only use 200 yards, so you could get 2 pairs out of a skein of yarn. So you could make one for yourself and share with a friend. That's where the name comes from. Those are worked on a US size 2, 2.75 millimeter needles. My cat, he says to let him in because normally at this time of evening, it's a little after 9, I would be VKNing and he likes to harass me while I'm chatting with my friends.
Yes.
But instead I'm here with you.
Much more important.
It's true. I have some new things this week. Oh, no, wait. Sock yarn blanket.
Yay! Yay!
This is exciting because, I said I wasn't going to really work on my sock yarn
I
blanket
know,
until
but then you did so
Christmas.
much.
Well, I
So
did.
much things. She knit all the things. I keep telling you.
I finished 4 things and my goal was 3. So 4 things finished. So I worked on my sock yarn blanket just a little.
That was a lot.
It was not a lot.
It was a lot to me.
Okay, so I have some random stitch markers in here. Only the squares that have stitch markers in the middle have been knit since the last time you saw it. So that one. And this one. And this big one is almost done. I'm not going to show you again next time because I'm showing you right now. These are made with Haley yarns. I have 2 more colors of Haley yarn before I can start working with Jerry yarn. And if I can finish 3 more things this week, then I will work on this blanket again. I'm going to finish this square and then put it away until I finish 3 more things. So we'll see. Maybe there will be sock yarn blanket in this next week. Okay, new things now.
New things now. Very important.
Yesterday, we were doing a lot of things. So many things. 4-ish hours worth of things. So I got this project ready, these seamless lomas, because I was like, well, I can just work on those anywhere. And I grabbed needles. I did not grab the right needles. When I'm working the seamless lomas, I like to do the paper part 2 at a time, magic loop. And then I like to do the back and forth with double points. I suppose I could use straight needles, but I like double points. I don't know why. I just like to do, 1 at a time on double points. Well, I grabbed 3 double points because that's what I needed for the top. I did not grab the appropriate size circular needle. I grabbed US size 4 instead of a US size 6. Obviously, this is a problem. We were about 20 minutes from home, and I was like, I don't have the proper needles. I'm going to be gone for 4 hours, and I only brought 1 project, and I didn't bring the right needles. And my boyfriend, sweet, generous, kind soul that he was, said, well, is this local yarn shop right up the street? Because we were right down the street from a yarn shop. He was like, is it open? And I was like, I don't know. So I looked on my phone, and yes, they were open. Yay! So then we went to breakfast, and I didn't have anything to knit on, but it was okay.
Where did you go for breakfast?
It's just crepes.
Yes, that's right, crepes. They were delicious.
Place for breakfast.
They were heavenly.
They were amazing.
I forgot I didn't have breakfast food. I had a savory crepe. That's why I don't.
I had a
breakfast
savory crepe
is not
too.
a real world.
Anyway, so we went to breakfast, and then we went and we pulled up outside the local yarn shop, and my boyfriend was like, well, what size needle do you need? Or so why would I try something that might not be awesome when I know that Hiya-Hias are awesome? If I need a US size 6 circular in the future, I might try Addie's. Like if I'm out and I'm in the same situation where I can come home and trade it out for the Hiya-Hias, I hate it, then maybe I'll get Addie's. But I told him I wanted Hiya-Hiya size 6 in at least 32-inch cable because I was magic looping. And I was like, oh, he's going to forget something and he's going to give me the wrong thing. Well, he didn't. He got me the needles that I wanted. And he walked out with this bag.
Magic bag.
So first, here's the package for the Hiya-Hias. And then I pulled out this yarn and he was like, that's for me. And I was like, yeah, I know. These are your colors. It is Mountain Colors Crazy Foot, which is 90% superwash merino wool, 10% nylon, in the color Trading Post. Very similar colors to the other Mountain Colors Crazy Foot that he bought for me to make him socks last time. And then I pulled out this other one, and he bought it for me. It is Mountain Colors Barefoot, which is 60% superwash wool, 25% mohair, 15% nylon, in the colorway Harmony Moss. I have not used this before. But look at that green. It's really pretty. I'm hoping that the mohair doesn't make me all super itchy, because it might, and that would be sad. But I suppose if it did, I could use it for something that doesn't go next to skin. I'm not. I'm just looking at you.
I broke it.
I know. I was waiting for that.
I look like a mermaid.
A little bit like a mermaid. I finished listening to A Feast for Crows. It was good. No, it was good. It was good, except that I missed my favorite characters.
Me too.
Three of my favorite characters didn't really have a part. People talked about them, but they didn't have a part. Highly disappointing.
Yes.
The story was okay. It would be really, really hard to read for me in print. It wasn't bad listening to it.
It is very difficult to read in print, and I didn't feel that it continued the story enough.
I think that the last 10% furthers the story a lot.
It did not justify the amount of pages that I read.
That's fair. It was very Tolkien-esque in that respect for me. But now I've finished it, and I've put book 5 on hold at the library, so I can get it when it's ready. I also started reading Speaker for the Dead, which is by Orson Scott Card. I am not sure how I feel about it. I think that I talked about it last week, starting the introduction or reading the introduction, but maybe not. I read the introduction last week before the podcast. But I'm actually a few chapters into it, and it is very different from the first book. I haven't made it far enough to form an opinion about the book at all. So look forward to that next week. I'm really only a few chapters in. This brings us to the list of 3.
Yay, list of 3.
I know. This is kind of my favorite part sometimes.
It's almost also mine.
So a lot of people have been asking me lately how I learned how to knit, or when I learned how to knit, or both questions at once. It's been a year since I started the podcast, so I'm going to tell you. I don't even know if I said all that in the first podcast. I didn't go back and look. So this is the story of how I learned how to knit. I moved to Kentucky while I was pregnant with Mara, and I left most of my stuff behind. I went back and got it later. I knew how to crochet, so I had Steve take me to Joann's, and I picked up some yarn, and I was going to make an afghan. And I started that, and I got, I don't know, a quarter of the way into it. And then I was like, kind of feel like it's time to learn a new thing. Do you get those periods where you're like, it's time, I need to learn something new?
No? Yes, and then I get lazy, and then I don't.
Oh, well, I was pregnant and stay-at-home
No,
mommy.
never while pregnant. No.
And I decided I wanted to learn how to knit. So we picked up one of those Learn to Knit books, and I tried knitting. I learned how to cast on from the book. I learned how to do the knit stitch from the book. I thought I learned how to do the purl stitch. And I did probably a 6-inch by 6-inch square that was supposed to be a scarf. I am not the type of person who can have a scarf be their first project. Totally fine for other people. There's a lady at my knit group who just learned how to knit last month, and she has made 2 scarves. Those are her projects that she's made. She loves them. They're great. They're perfect for her. They were exactly the right pace for me. I got 6 inches into it, and I was like, boring. I am bored. So we went to Joann's and got yarn to make a pair of socks. And socks were my first project. I didn't know how to purl when I was at the cuff of the first sock. Instead of purling, I knit, and then I did a twisted knit stitch. By the time I got to the heel, I figured out it was just stockinette all the way down. And then when I did the heel, I figured out how to purl. I had read enough knitting books because I went to the library and I picked up a bunch of books to learn how to knit as I was working on the sock. Because I worked on the sock and I got probably 4 inches in and then I dropped a stitch. And I panicked because I didn't know what to do. And I didn't know anybody who knew how to knit. None of my friends knit. Nobody in my family knit.
You never asked me.
I know.
I don't
I'm
knit.
sorry.
But she could have asked me. I would have appreciated the gesture.
I'm just not thoughtful like that. So I panicked and I ripped out the 4 inches of sock that I had done. And I picked up some knitting books from the library. And one of them I ended up buying later. Let's see if we can do this without tons of glare. I picked up Dominatrix, which is written by Jennifer Stafford. And it's awesome. It's kind of snarky in the writing, which is perfect for me to read. I don't have it on my shelf right now because I actually loaned it to my friend Melissa, who has been on the podcast before.
Yes.
One time.
Yes.
She was here.
Yes.
I don't remember what episode that was.
May-ish.
May-ish.
Go look if you want.
Yeah, it was mid-May.
I thought it was, yeah, okay.
It was mid-May.
You're right. It was before your birthday.
So she has the book right now, and it was fantastic. It has all the stuff you need to know when you're beginning. Different cast-ons. It's got different bind-offs, different methods of color work, increases, decreases, all of the really basic stuff. Nothing into super depth, but there are illustrations, and it was perfect. Everything that I needed to know how to do, I learned how to do in that book. When I got to the heel of the second sock, or of the first sock, the second attempt, I still did it. I didn't do purling right on the cuff again. But when I got to the heel, I had that book and I learned, I purled correctly. My mom has that pair of socks, and you can tell which sock is the first sock because the cuff rolls. By the second sock, I knew how to purl, so that's fine. That stays up like it's supposed to.
Mom still loves them.
I know. She thought they were great. She thought they were so great that the next year for Christmas, she asked for 7 pairs of socks because she's a crazy.
She is.
When I was learning how to knit, when I was making that sock, so I spoke incorrectly when I said I didn't know anybody who knit. My friend Becca, her mom, knits, and she knits a lot. But she lives in New Jersey, and she is not awesome at explaining things. I told her the problem of the dropped stitch, and she was like, I don't know. Maybe I wasn't explaining it correctly because I didn't know the terms for it, or she just couldn't visualize it. She has a lot of problems. She has 2 different neurological degenerative diseases, so she tried to help, but she couldn't. Anyway, she sent me a starter package because I wanted to learn how to knit so I could make socks and sweaters. She sent me yarn for 2 pairs of socks, one that I used for myself and one that I used for my sister. And she sent me this. Sensational Knitted Socks by Charlene Church. And it is fantastic. I used this book to make the first 8 or 9 pairs of socks that I made. It's clearly very well loved because I started knitting when I was pregnant. So I was knitting a lot when Mara was really, really little, and my children, they played with my book. So it's very, very loved. And it's awesome because it has a chart for if you know someone's foot size, you can get the measurements, like shoe size. You can get the measurements for circumference and all that from this book. And the sock patterns are recipes. So you have this chart and you find the foot circumference and your gauge of stitches per inch, and then you follow the columns and rows until you get to the cast on number, and that's how many you cast on, and you figure out the pattern from there. It's really, really fantastic, really awesome. I used the patterns in it for a really long time, and then I found Ravelry, and
The rest, as they say, is history.
the third book that I found kind of invaluable is also another sock recipe book, Socks a la carte. So these 3 different parts have flip pages. So you can flip these to build your perfect sock. So maybe you don't like the leg, go to a different leg, find a cuff you
That's
like,
kind of neat. I'm not even gonna lie.
find a foot that you like, and then it tells you what they are, and it tells you what page to go to find that particular direction. This is meant for cuff down. There is a toe up one, I believe. There's definitely a color work one. The only issue that I find is that it's designed for toe footsies, which is kind of a marbly-ish yarn. It's not quite variegated, but kind of. It's got different colored strands. What would you call it? I don't know.
Multicolored.
But not really multicolored.
Technical.
So sometimes some of the stitches get lost in the stitch pattern. In the yarn. The stitch patterns get lost in the yarn color. Of course, then I found Ravelry, and I found tons of different patterns, all sorts of lacy things and shawls, and my knitting went off in crazy directions. Then I started podcasting, and my knitting went even more crazy.
And as they say, the rest is history.
It's true. I will record the prize drawings tomorrow and stick them in here. Hey everyone, it is Monday the 18th of November, and I am here to draw prizes. So I have random.org up on my screen. And the first prize that we had was the hand spun. We had 3 entries, so 1 through 3. And the winner is number 2, which is Columbus Crafter, Sue. The second prize drawing is for these mini skeins, and we had 8. And the winner is number 7, who is LMECOL, Linda. And the third prize is socks. We have 10 entries for that, and the winner is number 9, who is Julie. So, Julie, Linda, and Sue, get in touch with me. Send me your mailing address for the handspun and the minis, and Julie, you and I will discuss hand knit socks. I hope you made something fantastic with your 6 and string, and I will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.